What's going on, guys? What's poppin'? It's your boys, STS, the one and only Chris Park. You're now tuned in to What's the Point, brought to you by Streamers International. Welcome to the show. Hey, so today we're going to be talking about major acquisitions that are taking place left and right by major streaming services. Specifically, Apple Music and Spotify. We're seeing a lot of activity going on with those companies.
Right.
I think I read Apple Music, they acquired 11 companies or something like that in 2017.
Spotify was like 13 in the last few years.
Yeah, they spent like 120 million on acquisitions.
Right.
So why is that? What's the point behind all these acquisitions?
Well, what I think is the biggest, kind of the most exciting part to see is just that there's a lot of activity in the music industry, and we're starting to see the value of the overall industry just grow every single year, right? Because there's just so much money being pumped into the industry now. And with streaming and all the digital products that are being offered right now, we have a lot more opportunity on the business space, right? We have a lot more startups coming out with these really cool little innovative features to add to not just the repertoire of the music creator, but also of the music consumer, right? It's better as an artist to be able to create music to reach the fans, and then as the fans to be able to discover that music, right? We have a lot more of these companies coming out. Now we have all these bigger companies eating up this stuff and putting it into their services in order to create more value for the user.
Absolutely.
Right?
Value that they're really responsible at this point now to deliver.
Right.
You know, they got a lot of
100%.
responsibility.
They
They
have
are
to do
the
that.
music providers.
Uh-huh.
They have a lot that they are accountable for now, and they have to acquire these companies, right? Because, piggybacking off of this point, right? These streaming services go beyond being just streaming services now. They're molding into these music powerhouses that are multifunctional and are just all purpose now, and are going to provide for a lot of our music desires, all of them in the future, for artists and for consumers. So They are now asking themselves the questions that the majors used to ask, right? Because they took all that power from them.
Absolutely.
So now they're the ones handing out the music. So now they have to ask questions and then answer them. And they have to answer questions to questions like, well, now that we have all this music, how does it go out? How do we get it out? How does it get distributed? How now we have these royalties. How do we get the royalties out to the artists? How do we track all the royalties? How do we track all the rights holders that are associated with every song? How do we put the right song in front of the right customer to make it match and to create more powerful AI for a better consuming experience, for a better listening experience, right? So they have to answer all these questions, which is why they're acquiring all these companies.
Which is the point. They're not answering these questions. Other people are answering these questions.
Yeah.
And then they just buy the company and say, okay, I like the answer you have, and I want you to be a part. Yeah, get over here. Come be on my team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
exactly.
the point, right?
Because they have to have the technology to be able to perform all the functions that it takes to do what they do now.
Right. And I think that ultimately kind of brings me to the next point, which is that there's more opportunities opening up in the music industry for artists besides just making music. You know what I mean? As an artist, you know the ins and outs of the industry of what's the problems of royalty payments and how long it takes, and there's not enough, and the data tracking is difficult, and all these little issues that come up in the industry. And as artists, we're creative and we come up with ideas to solve these problems. And so now we have opportunities to not just make music to make money, but now we can actually create these companies and be a part of an actual startup environment with these
Creates
companies.
a lot of new jobs.
And it's going to
Creates
create a
a
lot
lot
of
of
jobs
new
in the
jobs.
industry.
Yeah.
And it's going to create a lot of value. And the overall music
That old
industry
music companies
is going
never
to
even
get
heard
bigger
of.
and bigger
Right.
and grow, and it's going to grow. And now we're going to get to the point in the industry where it's not just about making music anymore.
Right.
It's about making value.
Right.
Right? And then the music is just the main product. Now we have to figure out how do we add value to that music. Right? And that's where we have the startup scene to start growing and all the money getting pumped in.
Job creation, that's a great point.
It's a huge thing, and now we have so much of these laws getting passed to start regulating a lot of the industry a lot better, so we can start to see big time institutional money come in. We have Google, we have Apple, we have Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest banks in the world, that's a majority stakeholder in Spotify right now. We have all these giant big time money holders that are investing into the industry.
Just like we've been talking about, the economic growth
Right.
that we are experiencing, which is a resurgence from damn near poverty
Right.
in the
Right.
music business that happened in the early,
I see a
and
huge
late,
pop.
like 2000s. Yeah.
You know, and so the acquisitions are just a sign of health in the industry, right? Not just, you know, looking
And it's a
at
sign.
money spent and revenue generated, but it's all ultimately about the investment dollars going into the industry right now. It's a sign of the overall health,
Right.
and things are going to
True.
continue to grow and get better.
True.
And that's an exciting thing to see.
Very, very true. That's the point.
That's the point.
You know?
Look out for the startups coming out here because there's a lot of really cool companies doing a lot of really cool, innovative things that are going to help you as an artist to be able to better grow your fan base and monetize that fan base moving forward. There's a lot of details. StreamersInternational.com is going to have a huge list, a lot of blogs, a lot of examples of everything that we're talking about here. So make sure you're on the blog at Streamers International. And as always, make sure you're watching every episode of the show
That's right.
because that's where all the info is going to be.
Come on now.
So be on
Come
the
on
next
now.
one and don't miss them.
See you guys next time.
See you next time.